Hello, we are Video Game Workshop, and we are lucky to have you to talk about luck. I'm
Yeah,
Dennis.
I'm Charlie.
All right, so luck, um, it's timely, but what is it? Like when you think of luck, what do you think of in a game? Like what does that look like to you? Under the hood, at least for me, when I think of luck, or if I think I have like a lucky something or other. I usually think about critical hits, like,
Right.
either in Pokemon or something like that, where the chance to do that is always there. But if you're a little luckier, right, like that chance increases a bit. So for me, at least, when I think about like a skill or when I see a perk that you can get, that's the thing that pops into my mind, at least initially.
Yeah, definitely like your chance to get a critical hit or, it's some sort of special combo or something is definitely a luck factor. I can think of a couple of games that do things like that that have that sort of critical hit system.
Hmm.
I know that like Fire Emblem does it, Persona games do it.
Yeah.
It's yeah, all over the place.
Yeah, or, same sort of thing, like, you either survived getting knocked out and you're back because that was lucky or something like that, right? Um, yeah, just the ability to dodge, like, things like that, right? Like, that happens more often, and it feels good when that happens, but it can also be really tense, like, when it's a big battle or, like, it's a boss fight, that sort of thing.
A lot of games just have a straight labeled luck stat. Like
Mhm.
you can just get a lucky character or like increase your luck in the game and it's just written out as like percent chance to get something that you want to happen.
Yeah, or sometimes you can select it, like, as a perk, right? Like, but that's what I'm saying, like, I think we wanna know a little bit more about, like, if you can select it, what does that do? Like, what does that mean? What does it change in the game? What does it mean to be lucky in games, right?
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit of a insider conversation between the player and the dev when you, like, openly call it luck like that, right?
Mhm.
Because it could mean a lot of different things, but the player kind of is getting to see the game developer wink a little bit where it's like, if you're lucky, like, I'm going to change, like, what sort of loot you get or how, like, good you are at fighting or whatever. It's like the game dev is, like,
Yeah.
giving you something because you're lucky even though it's not actually real luck. It's like
Right.
it's on the
Right.
back end a development trick.
Yeah. So, I remember it being a perk in Fallout, and it feeling like it's just kinda like a passive increase to almost every calculation that they do in the background, right? So, you still play through it, it's just that more often than not, things are gonna go your way when there's some sort of percent chance that it might hit or might not hit, that sort of thing triggers, right?
Yeah, like your percent chance to, like you said, like crit, like, or like kill off an enemy, get a headshot,
Yeah.
whatever, or even just like getting money. I
Right.
think like I haven't played the Fallout games personally. I've seen a lot of stuff about them, but I know that like in New Vegas or whatever, like you can play gambling games. And I do
Mhm.
think that your luck stat
Oh,
like
yeah,
is a
I bet, yes.
huge thing in that, right? Like you can make more money as like a lucky person just by gambling than you could
Mhm.
without it. So it's like this huge bump that you can get
Yeah.
from that stat.
I mean, another thing too that comes to mind for me is loot, right? Like loot drops, better loot drops, that sort of stuff, right? Um I think we've all played a game where we have to grind for something or you have to it has like a certain drop percentage, right? And then sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you get it right away, sometimes you're not, and it can feel really bad when you don't have that additional sort of thing. But
Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's interesting to compare the two, right? Because it's like when you're talking about luck when it comes to like combat, right? It's like,
Mhm.
oh, your percent chance to crit is like higher than it would have been, or like
Yeah.
is secretly higher than we're showing you because you're lucky, your luck stat. And like
Right.
it's basically like upgrading you or like making you better at the game. But when
Mhm.
it comes to things like loot, it's not necessarily upgrading you. It's like giving you access to more things, or it's more like it's affecting like the game rather than like the player individually, which is kind of fun. Where it's like when you open up this treasure chest, there's going to be like two of this potion instead of one because of your
Yeah.
luck stat. Or like maybe everybody had a 50-50 shot, but
Mhm.
you're going to have a 75-25 shot. which might
Yeah.
feel really lucky if it happens and feels like you didn't use your luck at all if it doesn't happen. And so it's like it's very like dependent on if you actually see the effects of it or if you actually get to see the percentage like chance anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you've seen this, but like, um, I've seen a lot of like the loot drop percentages, like in they have them in Pokemon games and a whole
Hmm.
bunch of that stuff. Like, usually the design docs are pretty cool, but on it. But what I found interesting is that like even under the hood, sometimes they balance that not necessarily just for luck, but also to follow like level progression, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Hmm.
So it's part of a way that, like, especially in an open world game, you can account for like going doubling back into places and having the rewards be at your level or like be as good instead of like missing that first item box in Pokemon and then coming back to it and it's like it's a potion, but all your Pokemon are level like 100 and it doesn't really matter. Like it could auto balance and flip the table underneath it to be something more appropriate with like where you are in the game. So it might drop like a revive or something like that instead.
So do you have to like skip over like chests so that you can come back and get something better later then?
No, I mean you can, but I think you're talking about something right like that everybody kind of does. The if I don't like the outcome, how can I control it?
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Well, especially when we're talking about an episode on luck, right? Like,
Yeah,
and trying to like
exactly.
get it to work the best way possible for you. But it does feel like it's like luck becomes just another factor that you're like choosing to affect or not affect in a lot of ways,
Hmm.
depending on if it's hidden or not. Like
Yeah,
sometimes it's just behind the scenes, but if you can see it, then it's like you want to have control over it. It just becomes like kind of another swingy stat that you can put into.
the gamer urge to fix the outcome of whatever you're trying to do. Which,
It's
yeah,
very
like,
true.
I mean, that's basically what any of the perks that we talked about before, right? Like, are about. They're kinda like changing the odds slightly in your favor, and you have a hand at doing that. And I think with loot, you can do that too, right? But, it's really weird to think about, like, when that takes place too, because I think that irritates some people, right?
Yeah. I mean, it never feels good to have it I don't know, it feels like it's something that, like, you couldn't have affected or that,
Mhm.
like, was already predetermined. It's especially when you have that luck stat. It's like you wanna feel like you're in charge of it, so,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I know one thing that most people do is they don't like the outcome of, like, opening a treasure chest. You can always save right before it and then open it over and over and over and over again, you know?
Save
Save
scumming on
scumming,
it?
yes.
Yeah. I mean, I have done some save scumming when it comes to, like, having characters die or,
Mhm.
like, having like,
Oh,
on
yeah.
XCOM or, like, whatever. I don't save scum when it comes to, like, chests or loot. I just let that go, but I know that people could get into it.
Yeah.
It's I guess maybe it would depend on, like, if you know that it's a random drop versus, like, if it's, like, a for sure this is the thing that you're
Mhm.
always gonna get, but if they decide what's inside of that chest, like, when you enter the area, then, like,
Mhm.
no amount of save scumming is gonna help you unless you, like, wanna go back super far, but, like, if they don't
Right.
decide what you're gonna get until the moment that you open that chest, then it's like you just save, open, save, open, and, like,
Right.
keep pressing your luck.
And isn't that interesting how, like, it seems fairly inconsequential, like, everything that you're saying about it, but it has, like, really big impacts on like the texture or the feel of it, right? Um, like you were saying, like the choice to try and stop the safe scumming by like generating the loot and then keeping the loot steady is definitely like a signal from the developer, right? Kind of telling you like there's other things to do. Like this is not the thing that you're supposed to be doing. Um, but you know, like they obviously still have it in some other places, and I think that's kinda like the developer being like, "There's always a random shot of this." It incentivizes, first of all, right? Like, if you already know that it's pre-populated with something you don't want, it's less interesting. If there's always a chance, that's really cool. But it also allows the door to be open for anybody who is like, "I'm gonna take a look into my own hands," and then open it like 1,000 times until you get the thing that you want and then move on.
It's true. And it's like it's funny because, like, at that point, it's not even really about luck. It's like you said, like, taking luck into your own hands where it's like, well, if 90% of the time you get this thing, but,
Mhm.
like, you only save when you get the 10% chance thing, then it's not really a 10% chance thing anymore. It's like you've effectively changed your luck into a
Yeah.
100% chance,
Right,
which,
right.
like, game devs can try to control against with different things, or, like, if they want it to seem like 90% overall and then you get one, then they're probably going to change the percentage chance later, but
Mhm.
that just means that you're gonna spend even more time save scumming next time because they
Right.
will have dropped your percentage chance down, so it's like, it starts to beget its own problem, right, where it gets worse
Mhm.
and worse and worse as you go and the devs try to, like, even it out.
Right, right. And, you know, sometimes they do it for, like, similar purposes on that. Like, I'm thinking about some of the fetch quests, like, in WoW, where you have to, like, pick up a certain loot, like a pellet or something like that, right? And it's interesting how they use it there because, there, I think, is a good example of, like, one of those where you don't want to have the predetermined outcome. You want it to be purely random because you can play around with the averages on the back end and you got to know like, oh, they have to encounter this thing like 5 times and it'll probably drop 3 during those 5 encounters plus or minus whatever, right? So you can kind of even scale like where you expect them to be experience points wise from that, which is kind of cool. So without it being feeling the same all the time, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I just need to like kill 3 wolves because the outcome is always going to be the same. Like it's a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's like the whole point of luck in games a lot of the times is, like, trying to add that sort of texture, like you're saying, like, try
Mhm.
to make it like, "Oh, you're not just doing a fetch quest," it's like that
Right.
you've got these different things. You're not, like, just getting, a thing from the dungeon that you finished. It's like you don't know what it's gonna be necessarily. It
There's
might not be the same throughout.
uncertainty.
Yeah, the uncertainty, and, like, a lot of people's reaction to, "We're gonna make it uncertain so that you could have fun with it," is to, like, I am going to make it certain or
Right.
to like to turn that into its own whole game, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like now instead of like save scumming or instead of like just going with it and enjoying the uncertainty, like I'm going to make this its own game where it's
Yeah.
like I am going to get the rare thing. I'm going to brute force it, not like outside of the game, but like within the game.
Yeah.
That's when you get sort of like the people who like specifically Twitch stream like, I'm going to walk around in a circle in this area until I get the shiny Pokemon that I want, right?
Right.
Like, you would know
Right.
about the back end numbers of this. I, like, could not be farther from this world because that sounds awful to me, but
It's
I
like
know that it exists.
it's like 1 in 4,000 or something like that. Or actually that might be already like if you have different items that change your luck to get that to happen more. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And yeah, that's interesting too because I think it's like one of those like Pokemon does a lot of cool stuff with like randomization and all that and the shinies being like kind of a loot drop too, right? Like it's an interesting way that they turned the random encounter, the standard random encounter, into something that could be a little bit more exciting. Which I think ultimately, like you were saying, that's the big thing about like randomness and luck and your control over it. Um, like to our example with the with WoW and fetch quests, like really when you take luck out of it, it shows just how bare bones the structure actually is, right? Like there's not a lot going on there, right? It's an overly long key and lock to prevent you to get somewhere. And somehow just like adding percentages and stuff like that changes it a little bit because it obscures the map a little bit and it doesn't make you focus on that part. It's got that uncertainty again. Adds a little bit more of a hook, but I still think you can do better than that. I think you have to have a better reason to have like a fetch quest, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Um what's also kind of cool too on this too is if we're talking about like random encounters in general, like you can also do that for the story of it. I know that Fallout was kind of doing this for the story of it, where they would have really rare random encounters. And this was back before they had like a player's guide showing you exactly what everything did. So it would carry on that story of like, oh, did you see the aliens in the desert? And some would be like, what are you talking about? Like, that didn't happen. That's never happened and it maybe didn't because it was like a 1 in 100 chance. So every so often you hear about it, but then you can play that game like for 80 more times and not see it and just be like, "Oh, they're just lying to me," right? Like there's
Yeah.
that interesting sort of part of it.
Yeah, it can become like a social mechanic as well,
Lore.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not just that your playthrough is a little bit
Right.
different every time or you don't know what to expect. It's that like everybody is having their own experience and they
Yeah.
can talk to each other about it without just like giving spoilers about what happens
Right.
next, right? It kind of makes it
Yeah.
a little bit more social in that way. And like everybody feels like they're playing a slightly different version, which is fun.
Right. Right. And like we usually do, I try and think of like, when you select something to be random and and you give the players a lever to change that so that they can affect their luck, like what kind of signal are you sending the player at the end of the day, right? Like because just with whether it's a luck stat, whether it's for good loot, whether it's for random encounters, it could be for the lore, it could be for balancing issues and all that, but I would probably also take a guess that the dev doesn't want you to save scum and grind the entire time to do that, right? And sometimes that's a little bit better. I know, having been someone who grinds for shinies and all that sort of stuff, like you should probably go on and play the rest of the game. It'll be fun, I promise, right? Like you can do that after and post content if you want.
I think that, like, for some people, having the luck be there does incentivize them to,
Hmm.
like, well, it was just my luck, and then move on,
Yeah.
rather than, like, if the luck weren't explicitly called out and it's just like a back-end dice roll, they might,
Hmm.
like, be upset and try it again and again to get it to work,
Yeah.
but because they have this out of, like, it was a dice roll, it was luck, they feel like they can move on. It's just that, like, for some people, explicitly calling out luck is, like, a challenge. Right? And, like, that's the
Yeah.
type of people who are like, "Well, if it's like a stat, if it's like a number, then that means that I can change it or, like,
Right.
I can, like, redo it." So,
It's sending a signal, right? It's saying this system exists and you have a little bit of control over it. So how can you
mhm,
not look away at that point, right?
mhm. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you wanna find more of our information, we're online everywhere at Video Game Workshop. We're on Patreon, Substack, Blue Sky. Come find us online, and we'll see you later. Thanks.